Hey, Cullum, did you know that Neanderthals and Marines have something in common?
I can't believe we're doing this as an intro, but no. What, Justin?
Well, they both really enjoyed their crayons because recently 42,000-year-old red ochre crayons are now showing that Neanderthals engaged in symbolic behavior, which shows that they were not only used for practical but also symbolic and artistic activities.
Yeah, and that is something that has been very elusive to the scientific community. Is the sort of cultural and sort of artistic material of the Neanderthals. There is a lot of now, thankfully, older paperwork uh, regarding theories where one of the reasons why humanity beats out Neanderthals and outcompetes them is that we had the capacity to be creative and think, and they didn't, which is very much not true. It's just there's a lot less material culture around non survival things for the Neanderthals.
Well, that being said, too, there is not a really well known example of a proto human having expressed any sort of artistic interest or artistic behaviors. I mean, Neanderthals we're starting to see now. There are some petroglyphs that date back to their time period, and now we're seeing this red ochre. So the evidence is there, though it's very few and far between. Though it seems like Neanderthals are one of the only other proto humans that have really engaged in these kinds of behaviors, which is very fascinating because believe it or not, did you know Neanderthals actually had a larger cranial capacity than us?
Yep, yep.
They
It
were
was
big brain.
they had a bigger cranial capacity, but the allocation in the different parts of the brain was different from what we have, and I don't remember the exact details of it, but our brains, though smaller, are more designed for long term thinking. As terrible as we as humans are at that, we are better than the Neanderthals were, which just goes to show you we are stumbling over some low bars here.
Also, not to mention the fact that humans and Neanderthals crossbred for a god knows how long amount of time. So there are most European populations have between 3 and 5% Neanderthal DNA within them.
Yep.
So we're all a little dumb.
Explains the violence.
But it's interesting because they're seeing that there are these ochre fragments that have been modified in a lot of ways. They're showing that they've actually been ground down, they've been scored, there's flaking and scraping, and that show that they go beyond just utilitarian. One yellow ochre fragment, which is roughly 4.5 centimeters long, had been deliberately shaped into a crayon like tool and had a pointed end and shown that it had been sharpened and displayed signs of pressure wear, showing that it was used to draw on and to basically be a marker, which is honestly amazing.
Yeah, and the fact that they are, you know, sharpening and resharpening to keep using the same point over and over again shows that this isn't just, a happenstance where, a Neanderthal found a piece on the ground that was already decently shaped for this purpose and just rubbed it until it couldn't be used anymore. No, this is intentional. This is the um, this is the user understanding how to maintain and manufacture this item.
And also shows that there's a prolonged use case for this item. The fact that you would have to resharpen, the fact that you would consistently use it pressure wise, goes to show that they were using it for some purpose and had an extended use case. I mean, they could have been doing cave drawings, they could have been marking hides. There's really a lot of utilitarian purposes for it, but it shows that it had been worn down and effectively resharpened like you would imagine a carpenter would do today with a wooden pencil.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is kind of like the little bits of chalk Marines have, where you mark the room as cleared as you've moved past it.
Yeah.
So that if the other group happens to circle around and come back down this hallway, they know This is an already cleared hallway. Turn the other direction.
Neanderthal Team 6
Yeah, yeah,
with their
yeah. It's like today we
Dockemizers.
hunt seal.
Oh God. Um, but it shows that there's a level of planning and cultural investment, and that they would have played a role in communication, in the expression of identity or transmission of knowledge. I mean, when you have the ability to write, it opens up the possibility of what may be presented or communicated. And it could be purely symbolic, it could be just purely drawings, it could be an actual developed language. We really don't know.
Yeah,
And it
yeah. It's
also
just
challenges the fact that this was exclusive to Homo sapiens, which I think is amazing. I love when new studies or new research starts to go against the grain.
yeah. And one of the reasons why we understand this to be Neanderthal and not Homo sapien is because even though the fragments are only about 70,000 years old, so they are within the time frame for Homo sapiens to exist. All the sites that they are being taken from for this collection for this study are sites in Crimea and Ukraine that were known to be Neanderthal habitations. And so it'd be very weird for for humans to come into a Neanderthal area and just leave human stuff there, and the Neanderthals just do nothing with it.
No, but it is a very interesting study, and it also the actual scientific study does link a map of Europe at the time that shows where a lot of ochre was used in Paleolithic sites, and it shows that these Neanderthal sites were big on the usage of ochre.
Oh yeah, yeah. They seem to have loved that shit.
I mean, yeah, when you get the ability to draw and to communicate, it opens up a whole new world. Like, humans as a whole are very creative species. We're one of the only ones that show any sort of artistic or idealistic kind of artwork. So the fact that there's a proto human there gives credence to an idea that maybe it's genetic, maybe there's some level that plays a role into it, something about our makeup, our genetics, our history just kind of plays a cool little bit.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to sort of the um, integration that was able to exist between humans and Neanderthals. Because if one side requires creative outlets and the other side has no capacity for the concept of what that is, any sort of personnel exchange is going to drive someone crazy.
Now I like to imagine that these ochre crayons were handed out at the like dining hall food area to children to keep them
It's not, it's,
occupied.
I can't remember the name of that restaurant, but it's not that. That was like a macaroni grill or something.
Oh my god. But
Not
anyways,
that.
I think that's a good point for us to wrap up this here episode. Let us know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you in the next one.